The hippopotamus is a threatened species in its native Africa, but is flourishing in one country far, far from home. And that's not a good thing. Hi there, I'm Jeff, and thanks for joining me for Plain English lesson number 243. JR is the producer, as always, and you can find all the resources for this lesson at plainenglish.com/243. Colombia's drug kingpin Pablo Escobar brought 4 hippos from Africa to populate his private zoo in the department of Antioquia. Today, they have become 80 hippos, and they're starting to worry the local population. The English expression we'll talk about later in the lesson is give rise to. We have a song of the week, of course, and a video lesson at plainenglish.com/243. Pablo Escobar is the most famous drug kingpin in Colombia's history. As a leader of Latin America's biggest drug cartel in the 1980s and 1990s, he defined what it meant to be a drug lord. He smuggled millions of dollars of cocaine to foreign markets, paid off local politicians, and showered the local community with cash to buy their support or acquiescence. He did whatever he wanted. Now, one of the things he wanted was to maintain a private zoo. In the early 1980s, he built his own zoo near his Hacienda Nápoles and flew in about 200 rare animals from around the world, including ostriches, elephants, zebras, giraffes, camels, and hippos. After his death in 1993, the zoo was closed by Colombian authorities, and the animals were relocated to official zoos around the country. All animals, that is, except the hippos. They were too big and too expensive to move. A hippopotamus is a big animal. Adult hippos weigh 3 tons, about 1,500 kilograms, and they are aggressive and unpredictable animals. They are semi-aquatic, meaning that they spend a large portion of their time in the water. They thrive in slow-moving rivers and lakes in areas with high humidity, which perfectly describes that part of Colombia. It's often said that in Africa, hippos kill more humans than any other animal. They eat mostly grass, so they don't look for people and other animals to eat, but they get aggressive if you threaten their territory. Hippos have huge jaws and mouths with spear-like canines. A BBC article I read about the topic had a huge picture of the inside of a hippo's mouth. If I hadn't known that was a hippo, I would have thought it was the mouth of a whale. Because of their size, they have few natural predators in Africa and none in Colombia. This is a problem. The farmers and fishermen of Colombia are not used to coexisting with this beast of an animal. One person crashed into a hippo at night on his motorbike. The hippos are wandering up people's driveways, killing their livestock, and threatening children. There's a sign outside one school warning of hippo attacks. the hippos are also changing the chemistry of the rivers and lakes. To understand what I mean, look at a picture of a hippo. This is an animal that eats a lot. It generally eats on solid ground and then goes to cool off and relax in the rivers and lakes. He eats a lot and he produces a lot of waste. And that waste is giving rise to harmful bacteria and algae in Antioquia's lakes and rivers, threatening native plants and animals. Not everyone is taking the threat seriously. Despite being a dangerous animal, a hippo has a friendly look. And when they're in wide open spaces, they don't tend to be aggressive. There have been no attacks so far in Colombia. Some people have temporarily taken hippo calves as pets. They're not endangered in Africa, but they are considered a threatened species there, and hippos tend to engender public sympathy. Still, most people recognize that a fast-growing hippo population is not a good thing for Colombia's countryside. There are no great options for dealing with this problem. I have one option in the back of my mind, but let's run through some of the ideas people have had. First, they could capture the animals and transport them somewhere safe. This seems like the easiest option, but it's not so easy. First, the animal is so heavy that you can't easily coax it into a pen for safe transport. And second, they need somewhere to go. They can't go back to Africa because they might carry diseases that could wipe out the whole population of hippos in Africa. Another option is to herd them into a single area and then close that area off with hippo-proof fencing. The trouble here is that they tend to be very spread out. They travel together in small herds, but there's a single male hippo. They call him el viejo, or the old man. He's so aggressive that he's scattered other herds far away. Those other herds, they don't want any part of el viejo. So now that they're scattered over a large area, they can't all be herded into one enclosure or into one protected area. Chemical sterilization has been used in other fast-growing species. This is when you shoot a male animal with a dart and inject him with a chemical that sterilizes him so that he cannot impregnate a female hippo. This is still not the option that comes to my mind, but it's getting closer. Problem with this is that hippos are sensitive to chemicals. They have a thick skin that guards against invasive chemicals and bacteria. That's their defense against chemicals. So they have a weaker immune system, and they could die from the chemicals used to sterilize them. We wouldn't want that. So if chemical sterilization is out, then surgical sterilization is also an option. Again, not the option I was thinking about, but with surgical sterilization, scientists would capture a female hippo, sedate her, and perform surgery to remove the parts critical to reproduction. It takes 3 hours just to cut through the thick skin and the layer of fat and muscle protecting those critical parts. So this is an expensive operation. Another operation is to capture the male hippos and castrate them. I guarantee you this is not the option I was thinking of, but this is something that has been done before. But all of the previous options are expensive, and Colombia doesn't want to spend its limited budget for environmental protection on caring for non-native animals brought to them by a drug lord. So that leaves the most logical option, which is to hunt the animals until they die out. With all due respect to the hippos, they belong in Africa. They should be preserved and nurtured there, not in South America. They are only in Colombia due to the illegal actions of a drug kingpin. It was wrong to bring them there, and the current generation now has to make the difficult decision about what to do. The hippos are threatening not only people, but also the native animal population. Alas, this option is complicated too. Hippos are a friendly-looking animal, and they are threatened in their native Africa. People like them and have strong emotional reactions to them. They look cuddly cute, like a safari version of a teddy bear. Colombia is not willing to risk the worldwide public relations backlash that would surely come from euthanizing or hunting the animals. So, the problem remains unresolved. Scientists think there could be thousands of them there in 10 years. Here's what I would like to know. How do you find people willing to perform surgical sterilization on a hippo? What does that LinkedIn job advertisement look like? There can't be too many people in the world who have that skill set. The English expression I'd like to tell you about today is to give rise to. To give rise to means to cause something or to cause something to happen. Often with the word rise, it implies that it causes something not only to happen, but to grow. Here's how you heard it earlier in this lesson. A male hippo is a big boy. He eats a lot and he produces a lot of waste, which he rather inconsiderately leaves in the lakes and rivers of Colombia's countryside. That gives rise to high levels of algae and harmful bacteria in those waterways. That causes harmful bacteria. That causes high levels of algae. That causes the chemical composition of those lakes and rivers to change. So we say it caused the high levels of algae and it caused them to grow. It gave rise to high levels of algae and bacteria. Let's move on to another example, shall we? Here are a few from health. Eating a lot of salt can give rise to high blood pressure. That can cause high blood pressure, and if you eat too much salt, your blood pressure will go up and keep going up. Sleeping too little and being under too much stress at work can give rise to a variety of other health issues like anxiety, weight gain, things like that. Keep it up, and you'll face a rising number of health problems later in life. So far, we've only talked about negative examples, but it doesn't always have to be that way. The advent of the iPhone gave rise to an entire industry of app developers. Think about that. Think about all the people who develop mobile apps now. That job didn't exist before the iPhone, or at least it looked a lot different. But the iPhone gave rise to that entire industry of people coding apps for mobile phones. The iPhone caused it, and the industry has grown and grown ever since. All those mobile apps have given rise to what we call the gig economy, being able to do small jobs for people, whether that's delivering food or driving them around or doing tasks around the house. That has been made possible in large part by mobile apps. Mobile apps and the culture of personalized service have given rise to the gig economy. I saw an article online that said that war injuries from World War II gave rise to modern plastic surgery. I did not know that. Soldiers returning with injuries looked to the new field of plastic surgery to help hide the physical effects of their injuries. So the demand from returning soldiers gave rise to the plastic surgery industry. It caused the plastic surgery industry to develop as much as it has. Obviously, demand now is not tied to that same cause, but demand from the soldiers caused the industry to develop in the first place. Time for JR's Song of the Week. You know, JR is Mexican, and he's pretty up on American culture, more so than I am in many ways. But there are still some things, just a few things about American culture that he doesn't know. When he sent me this song, he said it was by Daryl Hall and John Oates. And I thought, Daryl Hall, who's that? Must be some new popular singer. And then it hits me. This is Hall and Oates. It's an early rock duo. Indeed, their names are Daryl Hall and John Oates, but we all just know them as Hall and Oates. We don't even say it like two names. We just say Hall and Oates, like one word. Anyway, the song is Rich Girl by Hall and Oates. It's about a spoiled rich girl who uses her parents' money to do whatever she wants. It was originally written about a man, but they changed it so the song would be titled Rich Girl instead of Rich Guy. Unrelated fact, a famous serial murderer said that the song motivated him to commit his crimes. That doesn't take anything away from the song, I just thought I'd mention that. That's all for this Plain English lesson. Thanks for sticking with us to the end. We'll be back on Monday with another riveting Plain English lesson. If you're enjoying listening to us, then I encourage you to check out Plain English Plus, our membership program for people who want to go from intermediate to advanced. Plain English Plus includes a fast version of this exact episode. I'm about to record that fast version in just a minute. It includes the fast version, translations of the transcripts, flashcards, video lessons, and much more. To learn more and to sign up, just visit plainenglish.com/plus.